Since 1984, North Shore Food Bank has been a cornerstone of downtown Covington, proudly serving all of St. Tammany Parish. Each week, we provide essential supplemental food resources to more than 350 households and partner organizations to support the most vulnerable in our community. Directly addressing food insecurity through a number of different programs, North Shore Food Bank specifically delivers weekend food bags to 8 different public elementary schools and also to operate student choice pantries in 3 public high schools for those experiencing homelessness. Join the fight. Visit northshorefoodbank.org to learn how. The roster's put together now for Lane Kiffin's first season. We break down from 1 to, well, a lot on the Hannycast next.
The Hannycast, a weekly LSU football film study with Charles Hanagriff and former LSU tight end Richard Dickson. Now to break down the Tiger tape, here's Charles and Richard.
And we welcome you to the Hannycast for Thursday, January the 29th. I'm Charles Hanagriff, along with former Tiger Richard Dickson. Richard, this is our final football podcast of the season. Thank you for all your hard work with all the films and stuff. We spent the last 3 weeks looking at film on LSU's portal class. And when you add the portal class to the signing class with a couple other players that are going to join the class in the late signing period, and, some what used to be called walk-ons, I guess. Yeah. We're looking at a roster that is going to be somewhere between 95 and 100 maybe when we get to the end of this semester. And by the time we get back to August, might push up right up against that limit of 105. So it was a lot of work, and now he's got all the ingredients. Like they say, it's time to make the gumbo.
It's time to get started. I mean, we were talking about it before the show started. The days of needing 3 to 4 years to build a roster are completely over.
Yeah.
You used to bring in 25 guys, and you had 25 guys to bring in that year. The numbers are right around 60 right now. So you're bringing in 2.5 signing classes of players. You go out and pick guys. You're not picking high school kids, little kids anymore. You're going out and picking guys who've been playing in college football for the past couple of years. Expectations are high, and you got to get ready to roll.
All right, there's 2 more players that we haven't shown you film on yet. They're 2 big adds to this class late since we did the last podcast, so we'll show you film on both of them. And the first one is Princewill Umanmielen, who was the leading sack man for Ole Miss last season, and we'll take a look at his film. LSU wanted to add to their pass rush, and you're going to see here he's number 1. This is in one of the games against Tulane.
So I wish that play could go back. I mean, the amount of effort it took for him to get across and miss the first time, you don't see a lot of big defensive linemen that have the effort to come back, plant their foot, and come back across the field and hit him.
You're seeing this is against Oklahoma, him tracking down a play from the backside. He started at Nebraska, spent 2 years there, and then last year was an impact guy. 9 sacks for Ole Miss a season ago.
He's a big athlete. He's smooth. I mean, just watch the breakdown of, what was the Oklahoma quarterback's name? Mateer.
Yeah.
Very athletic, could run. And the way that he settled down, sunk his hips, and didn't allow him to cut him out, he's a very athletic defensive lineman.
LSU sack leader a year ago was Harold Perkins with 4. Umanmielen had 9.
He did that twice and one more. No, this is a big ad. I mean, we went through the last 2 shows going over them. The biggest 2 to hit our roster happened over the weekend.
Right.
Getting Prince and getting the offensive tackle. These are guys that when you listen to ESPN, listen to, all the national broadcast on them, they're supposed to be first-round guys.
This is a big-time pass rusher, and they needed one. They've added. We'll go through the roster. We'll take a look, but they wanted to put some heat on the passer. This guy was the best guy that they could get. He was highly coveted, and Ole Miss did everything they could to keep him, and Lane Kiffin got him. Stop me if you've heard this before. And then the final player, it was almost like Lane Kiffin was shooting a movie, and he wanted some big grand finale. And Jordan Seaton, the left tackle from Colorado, was reeled in on Friday night. I was at an event and people started coming up to me saying, "Hey, have you heard? Have you heard?" I was emceeing an event, and it's like, okay, yeah. Seaton is looked at as a first-round pick in next year's NFL draft. He was a 5-star out of IMGs, originally from the Washington, D.C. area, and he was plenty good for Colorado for the last 2 seasons. I'm not even certain, Richard. Maybe we can ask him when we get to talk to these guys, if his plan all along was to go into the transfer portal, because he didn't jump in on the first day.
I love everything I'm seeing right here.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
He's a guy that just finishes. He's a little bit nasty. I've seen 3 guys try to fight him at the end of the block, which means those guys are pissed off from getting their ass whooped. That's what you need. I grew up around nasty offensive linemen, guys that made defensive linemen want to fight you. I want those guys to swing at you all the time because you are aggravating the crap out of them. And everything you see from this guy, the pull from there with the tackle, his movement, his lateral movement, his hips, the way he gets out, very athletic, finishes. Day 1 of fall camp, I want to see him and Princewill go against each other.
You probably
make me happy.
You probably will.
But see, this is that right there, and I wish that we could control it. That rep is such a confidence rep. I haven't seen a confidence rep by an LSU offensive lineman in so long, where you take your first step, you pause, you wait to see it happen. We always seem to be on our toes, flinching, moving. He's a guy that he knows what he's got. He knows what he can do. If you watch how his feet work, he doesn't get antsy. He doesn't get over his toes. He doesn't lean. He stays balanced, shifts directions. And that's what a first-round offensive lineman looks like.
It's rare that you see somebody at 325 pounds that has feet this good.
And this is the first time I've seen this film. We pulled this up before we got here, and I wish I could have watched this a little bit more because it's really awesome to see guys work that way. Like, people quit on him. Like, once he gets his hands wrapped up, they quit.
You played next to Saron Black for what, 3 years?
4 years.
4 years. Okay. And before his knee went out, Saron was going to be a high pick.
I'll tell you all the time, like, me and Saron did not have to make calls. We could look at each other, understand it, tap somebody, and we knew how to block whatever front we had. And once you get, that's the thing that you can have all the talent in the world. I pray once they get in here, and he's going to be a spring guy. How does that work out with the enrollment? He gets here in the spring. The tight ends, guards, and tackles get in a rhythm of understanding of how they're going to work together.
Learned all about late registration. Yeah. Things like that.
I had heard it was like a Tuesday, then he did it on a Friday. I was all lost.
Well, I suspect that they'll get him to history class, and then they'll get him to spring football.
I know guys that missed 2 weeks of class, and they were just fine.
Yeah, listen. There was a time when we spent a lot of time concerned about academics and a lot of time concerned about tests and things like that.
The interview Carson Beck did when the person asked him, they were like, "Hey, is this affecting finals?" He's like, "I graduated 2 years ago." Yeah,
listen. I think all that stuff's important, but you just don't hear about it anymore. So. This is what you got to do to play now. It's what you got to do. We're brought to you by Capital Area USSSA baseball affiliate, hosting events for all levels of skills and rec all-star divisions, AA, AAA, Major League, state, and national events. Exciting events lined up for this fall and into next spring. For more information, contact Lane Petrie, 771-9095, 225-771-9095. Okay, now we're going to go through the entire roster, position by position. If you just kind of been watching this and say, "Oh, they got another guy. They got another guy. They got how many guys they got there? What does it look like? What is it?" I didn't quite do it depth chart wise, but I separated it to where position wise, and where you can get a little bit of information about some of the newcomers, and then we'll talk about where they might fit. So let's start with the quarterbacks.
Most expensive room in the house.
Yeah, and that's how it goes. 3 transfer quarterbacks. And Sam Levitt is going to be your starter there from Arizona State, provided that the Lensfrack injury heals. And I want to ask you, when you are injured in spring that you can't do the actual drills, but you are present, you can go to meetings, you can be present at practice, be present at walkthrough. How much can you absorb the system, and how difficult is that to do without actually playing?
It's very important to me. I mean, it's extra film study. I mean, so the times I've been hurt, I was more of a coach on the sideline. I was given a script. I was given a play. I got to read it, understand what we wanted to do. I had more time to really break down the defense because then I'd understand what we were going to do before we lined up. Then I watched the defense, saw what they did, figured out my checks. I mean, it was like studying for a test. It gives you a lot of time to really just think about it. And when you're playing, it has to be so fast. When you're watching, you get to kind of slow it down and think about what you're doing. So I think from the mental standpoint of learning a new offense or learning a new scheme, it's kind of a beneficiary.
The other thing I thought about with Levitt is the virtual the virtual recognition, the helmet that helped Jaden Daniels win the Heisman. I don't know how many schools have got that, but I know that the ones that have used it at LSU, it's been a godsend. He can put that helmet on and take reps all day, every day without ever facing any contact or any movement or anything like that.
Well, it goes back to what I was talking about is he can go through the whole practice rep, get down there, break down his notes, what he would have done, what he saw, and then, okay, put that next to you. Go put on the screen set, go in there and run the same plays in practice. What do I see now live? Where am I moving? You can break down and check your notes about, okay, when I stood from the sideline, I saw this. When I was behind center, I saw this. And why did I see it which way? So there's just another way of checking what you're looking at.
Hussein Longstreet, again, it might be the most remarkable get in the entire class because they got him after Levitt. He's a 5-star out of USC that redshirted last year, could have gone a lot of places and been guaranteed a starting spot. You see some of the high school numbers there. They're pretty strong and a very, very big arm for Hussein Longstreet. He's going to get to play a lot in the spring. It'll be him and Landon Clark. Rich, in the Oklahoma game, they were almost said Martin Van Buren. They were a Michael Van Buren ankle sprain away from playing a walk-on.
Yeah.
Okay? Now you have 3 quarterbacks, one who's got 20 career starts, your third-string guy, and I'm just going to say third-string with Landon Clark. If he beats out these guys, good for him, who's got a dozen starts and then a 5-star. That's a pretty good quarterback.
I mean, a lot of experience. Let's remember Landon Clark was our first one to commit, first domino to fall, and everybody was excited about him. Now he's kind of gotten pushed down the depth chart with who else you brought in after.
He knew that there were going to be other quarterbacks coming. He said, I don't care. I'm going to compete. Remember, whoever did this at Ole Miss last year probably didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about Trinidad Chandler. So I don't want to count the young man out at all.
No, I'm not counting him out at all. I'm just saying that for the fans, remember how excited you were when he committed.
Yeah, that's right. Located in the heart of downtown Hammond, Cina, an upscale Italian restaurant serving traditional dishes in contemporary fashion, inspired by the abundance of fresh local produce and the ways of old. Cina, creating a unique dining experience. Their goal is to use local ingredients and delicious recipes to create an exceptional dining experience while also providing a fresh and inclusive atmosphere that can be enjoyed by everyone. Cina, in the heart of downtown Hammond. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at the running backs. And LSU was able to retain Harlem Berry and Caden Durham. You'll see the returners up at the top there. Rod Gainey from Charlotte, 3 starts, played a little bit, some catches out of the backfield. Racine Guillory from Utah did not play really at all for Utah. He graduated from high school early, really should have been a high school senior last year. Got a lot of wiggle to him. By the way, you can go back and look at film on any of these guys in the previous podcast. Dylan Jones was a starter for Wisconsin. He started the first 7 games of last year before he was injured and missed the last 4. A little bit bigger back there, and my guess is that he would be number 3 when you start this. And all 3 of these other guys look like guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield, and that for Lane Kiffin. So I would say Berry and Durham are obviously your two lead backs. I would say Dylan Jones probably next, and the other 3 guys to work in as players, and they can all catch the football. That's the one thing I noticed on the film.
This is the one position group where I'm not going to try to say that I'm excited about the transfers. I was more excited about who we kept. Got a lot of respect for Caden Durham. I don't feel like he's really hit his potential here yet. We've seen flashes where he can be amazing, powerful, strong, and fast. Harlem Berry really came on. I think that those 2 right there, if we had a better scheme last year and a better offensive line, could have been elite, SEC running backs, the kid guys that everybody's talking about. They went out and got a few pieces that I think they can fill in and do little things that from the passing game that you talked about that Kiffin likes to do. But my biggest excitement in the running backs room was the ability to hold on to our guys.
There's one prediction I'll make about this group. Harlem Berry caught 8 passes last year. Put a 2 in front of that.
I was say 30.
Be closer to be way closer to 30 than it is to 8.
100%.
That number's going up for sure for Harlem Berry. All right, so that's your running back room. Let's move to the next slide, which I think is the wide receivers, and only one player back. That's Phillip Wright from the signing class last year. I put these in some kind of order. I'm not trying to make this as a depth chart. But Jace Brown was a third-team All-Big 12 player last year. We're talking about somebody with close to 2,000 career yards. And I think on all of these, the average yards per reception.
Look at the last number.
They're very, very high, 17.1. Trey Brown led the league at 20.05 at Old Dominion. Tyree Holloway at the University of West Florida. That's a D2 school, but it was 19.4. Winnie Watkins played for Kiffin at Ole Miss. He played 15 games as a true freshman. Not the big yards per reception there. Trey Wilson at Florida. We're talking about somebody in 3 years has over 1,000 yards and has missed a lot of time.
Yeah.
So these are the players that I think, and then you go back here, Jackson Harris was the very first player that he got in the transfer portal, first team All-Mountain West. Those guys from the top up, 19.6 yards per catch. And then you got some players that I think will be in more reserve roles, Jackson Elsie and Mothershed, and 3 high school players. It's a lot of wide receivers, man, and a lot of explosive guys.
Well, if you go back to what we talked about when we were looking at this is, he's going to run a lot of 3-4 wide sets. And when you're going into spring and you're running 3 teams, you need 12, 14 receivers to get through a practice. This is why you're bringing a lot of guys. They all have a lot of similar traits. I think, Winnie from Ole Miss and the kid from Florida probably get them the most excitement because you've understood what they could do with them. But this Jackson Harris, to me, at 19.65, 6'3", 205, those are the receivers. When I think of LSU receivers, I played with Dwayne Bowe that was 6'2". Yeah, Craig Davis was 6'2". Just big, long, Brandon LaFell, 6'2". Guys that were big, long, could go down the field.
We saw the film on him. It's a long stride.
Yeah.
It's a long stride. So you got a lot to choose from there and a lot of big play guys at the wide receiver position. From a backyard shed to the top of the game, more than just a baseball bat company, Marucci, a legacy built on passion and precision, 2 decades of crafting the finest wood, metal, and leather in the sport. Help you run the game, MarucciSports.com, and the Hitter's House at 5801 Seagan Lane, 1801 Airline Drive in Metairie. Members have 24/7 access to the members-only cages, bullpen cage reservation opportunities, and a 15% discount at the retail store. Go to MarucciSports.com. All right, let's put the tight ends up on the board now. And Trey Green, to get him back was obviously
you didn't put him in the wide receiver room?
Yeah, I didn't. And J.D. LaFleur, the legacy who redshirted last year, David LaFleur, a first-round pick of the Dallas Cowboys, his son. And then you bring in Malachi Thomas from Pittsburgh. We saw a little bit of film on him, 6'4", 225. Could certainly catch the football, long and athletic. We didn't see much of him as a blocker on film, but doesn't mean he can't do that. He's got a big frame there. And then Zach Grace, I think, going to be one of your favorite players because he's listed as a tight end, but when we saw the film, Rich, at Oregon, more of
old school H-back,
fullback H-back, and we don't have any numbers on him because he never caught a pass and he never ran the ball. He is there to block.
No.
And I told you 2 things when we saw that film. Number 1, that you were going to love him, and number 2, that there's going to be a game, maybe 2, maybe even 3, where he catches a pass and ain't nobody guarding him.
Yeah.
Or he gets a handoff and nobody's expecting it because that's what Lane Kiffin does. He's certainly not going to be a usage guy, but he is a big hat to come in there and block.
Well, the first thing when we broke down his film and looked at it, I immediately went back to the film review study from the season when we played Ole Miss. And then when we talked about Lane Kiffin getting hired, we broke down Ole Miss offense. And he always used to tight end a lot in the backfield for blocking and sneaking out back, protection, getting away from it, backside leak outs. He seemed like the guy, when I've watched all these guys, that guy fits Lane Kiffin's offense more than anything. I mean, that's what we've seen in the last few years with Lane. Now, we know what he hadn't had a trade as Green. There's a lot of things they can do with him. But that Zach Grace, the way he played at Oregon, was very similar to the way Kiffin uses tight ends at Ole Miss.
You remember some of the short yardage plays that they ran for Ole Miss? They had two linemen in the backfield. There's one of those guys. I'll just bet you. We're brought to you by Dependable Storage. 8 locations across Louisiana, 1 in Gulfport, Mississippi. Matching any competitor's pricing at Dependable Storage. Convenient online rentals and payments for use of the moving truck for new rental move-ins. Clean, secure, and conveniently located facilities. Check out the website at dependablestorage.com for locations, pricing, and rentals. Like Skip Burtman always says, at Dependable Storage, we want your stuff. All right, let's move on to the offensive line room, and I'm really excited about this group because there's a lot of new faces, but there's a lot of returning faces too. Braylon Moore is going to be your starter at center. Weston Davis, I think, is going to have to battle. I give him every chance in the world to come back as a starter, but there's some competition there. The Bordelon brothers, who have played, Bo in particular, played in some of those 3 tight end sets a year ago. Solomon Thomas was a 5-star that Brian Kelly and company flipped on signing day last year. Then he had a foot injury, missed all of August, and never really got back. But that's a really, really talented kid. So that's of your group coming back, 1 starter for sure. One that, look, Weston Davis, a lot of talent, had a rough year. I'm looking forward to a new offensive line coach and Eric Wolford that, a fresh set of eyes, fresh start for him. The talent is there, but again, he's going to have to compete, I think, at that position.
For me, it says a lot of things, the way that they've evaluated it. They think, Solomon Thomas and Weston Davis. Look, Weston Davis, I was hard on him all year. We knew he had potential. He's tall, athletic. Things looked. It was obvious to me that he wasn't being coached very well. We didn't see anything of Solomon Thomas, but we saw 4 other offensive linemen go to SEC schools. Or SEC Power 4 schools, whatever. At least 3 of them went to SEC. So we let those guys go. Didn't fight. Didn't, from what I heard, throw a lot of money at them. But you're bringing those 2 guys back. You've seen something that you're willing to pay for, willing to extend money to keep them here, and that says a lot to me. Those are the guys that they want to go forward with.
I feel very good about saying that Braylon Moore will start at center and Jordan Seaton will start at left tackle. Let's go to page 2 here, and we'll sort through the next group. Aliu Ba, 24 career starts at Maryland.
I think he's a starter.
And at right guard, talk to me about right-handed stance versus left-handed stance. Some guys think it's a big deal. Some guys don't.
It wasn't for a tight end because we swapped every play.
But for linemen?
For linemen, I think it makes a difference on the tackles versus guards. Guards got to pull regardless. You're used to shifting. Tackles are typically more one side heavy because they're better with their feet. I don't think it makes a difference on the guard, but I've watched him play, and I watched some snaps of him. He's going to start somewhere next year.
Let's go ahead and put him at right guard. That's where he's been his entire career. Sean Tompkins at Baylor started the last 5 games. He broke into the starting lineup about midway through the season. I think he's a very strong candidate to start somewhere. Devin Harper, Calvary Baptist kid, was originally committed to LSU, played 6 games as a true freshman, and the word was that he would have been if Kiffin and company had stayed at Ole Miss, Harper would have been the starting left tackle for Ole Miss this season. So I
see him competing with Weston Davis at right tackle.
Yeah, so that's 3. I feel good about Bob being a starter. Tompkins, Harper, William Satterwhite has played. I think he kind of slots in as your backup center. And then Darren Stray, Eric Wolford was the offensive line coach at Kentucky. He watched his kid. He didn't play last year. He's a true freshman. You've got eyes on him. So
you don't bring him if you don't like him.
That's right. So that's an awful lot of guys. How many? 3, 6, 9, 10. And what do we have? 7 on the front page. I think it's 17 scholarship offensive linemen. That's a real healthy number.
Yeah.
I've seen LSU go into seasons with as few as 10, scholarship linemen that were healthy and ready to available to play. You're 3 deep here, and you've got experience at the top. You got some versatility. You got some young guys that can.
You got the
don't have to get thrown right in.
You have the number 1 offensive lineman ranked in the NFL draft right now. You went and got that guy. I mean, that's a lot of expectations for this group.
We're brought to you by Town Square Pizza for pick-up or delivery on North Boulevard, downtown Baton Rouge. Delicious, personalized pizza with unmatched speed. If you got a limited amount of time for lunch, get in and out very quickly at Town Square Pizza. Very generous portions. You're probably going to have some extra to take home. Monday through Saturday from 11 until 8. If you're coming into games from out of town, and you're staying downtown, make sure you get into Town Square Pizza again for pickup or delivery on North Boulevard across from, what else? Town Square. All right, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. We're going to start up front on the defensive line with the interior guys. Dominic McKinley, the headliner there, coming back. Sean Washington played a little bit. Rich, when you have at least 4 defensive tackles that you can get reps for, the benefits to that. And LSU, I thought, a lot of last year, they had, 4 guys that at least
wasn't our problem.
3. No, in some prior years. So let's talk about Dominic McKinley first, because I'm looking for him to have a breakout season. He was so highly recruited. He played a little bit as a freshman, starting to come on at the end of the season. I thought he had a good year. Maybe I was expecting too much, but I think maybe this is the breakout year for him, I'm hoping.
It needs to be. I mean, he's had his flashes. Not to try to talk about guys we lost. I mean, I was high on Ahmad Bro. I think Ahmad Bro, they were in the same signing class, outperformed him for 2 years. Lost him. I think Dominic McKinley came on late last year, and then he's been really strong. But you've seen the flashes. You've seen what he can do. You need him to have a full year to put it together, and I think this is his year. With
Gooden and Guillory, Bro and McKinley, they had a true 4-man rotation on the interior of that line. And I think you got 2 experienced rotation guys here in Malik Blockton and Stephylan Green. They're both from big power schools. 2 years at Auburn for Blockton, 3 years at Clemson for Green. Both of these guys are 290 to 300 pounds. They both played 2 full seasons. They've both been starters. They've both provided some pressure. You can read the numbers here. I don't have to read them for you. These 2 guys, I think, are going to play a lot. And what's encouraging to me is I don't think that either one of them are going to be asked to play 50 to 60 snaps a game. I think they're going to be asked to play probably half of that. You're going to be able to keep the fresh rotation. And in both of these freshmen, Richard Anderson is the headliner, but Deuce Gerald's is an awfully good-looking prospect. If Anderson is anywhere near as good as what we have seen from him so far, he pushes his way into some playing time this year. Feel real good about this group.
Where's Lamar Brown?
Next slide.
I was about to say it was the number 1 player in the recruiting class. I mean, so I'm adding those to those 3.
No. Well, I've got him listed as an end here because that's what they're listing him as. So he'll be on the next. He'll be on the next page. But
I was reading an article earlier that's saying that he would be the best offensive lineman in the class, or be the best defensive lineman in the class. It doesn't really matter.
If Jordan Seaton had decided to go to Oregon, I think we might at least be entertaining the idea that Lamar Brown would be on the offensive side of the ball, because he said, I'll play anywhere.
His interview got me fired up. The best interview I've seen from a high school kid. Said, I don't give a damn if I'm playing offense, defense. I'm great at both. I'll destroy people at both. You put me where I can play.
Now, and if you put the next slide up, which is the defensive ends, and we got him down at the bottom with the freshman, just because that's where we put him. To me, Rich, he's at his. If they go with an odd front, to me, he's the one guy that has. Well, there's more than one, but him especially, I think, has got a little bit of versatility. Like, to me, he looks like a perfect 5 technique.
Yeah,
to me,
100%.
So if you're in a position where you have to slide him down, okay. If you want to put him on the edge, he's got quickness, but All right, I'm just going to tell you who he reminds me of the most is a combination of Marcus Spears and Marquise Hill. Those guys were these big 6'5", 290-pound, and they were defensive ends. Back then, Nick Saban played really, really big defensive ends. Now, more so, you kind of look like Umanmielen. You're more like 245 to 250 pounds, but it doesn't mean that you can't put Lamar Brown somewhere where he can really cause some problems. So I got him listed as an end, but to me, he's more of a hybrid, if you will.
From watching him play, and I'm not saying expectation-wise, but style of play, body size, the way they move, and guys I've played with, I mean, he reminds me of Ndamukong Suh. Like, he's that similar, 280 to 290.
Why don't we just compare him to Reggie White? I mean, we can't help ourselves here,
but,
right?
Like, I think those style of play goes into what you're talking about. He's a guy that can play tackle, but Sue, when we were in past situations, he played an end. Like, he's a guy that could play both, move. He's fast enough, athletic enough. But I think your day one starters on the end are Gabe Relaford and Princewill.
Umanmielen.
Princewill.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I really liked the way Relaford played until he got hurt last year. I thought it was a big loss for the defense. And Dylan Carpenter played a little bit too, but I'm with you on Relaford and Umanmielen. So let's talk about some of the other players in this class. Jaylen Brown has hardly played. He missed all of last season. Those 39 snaps came when he was at Missouri. I put Sterling Lucas's name there because he's LSU's new defensive line coach. Has come over from South Carolina.
What do you say about the offensive line? You don't bring them.
Right.
You don't like them.
The former 4-star. So there's not a lot of stats on him, but somebody that, again, the coach has put eyes on, and you're going to have here. Jordan Ross was a 5-star Tennessee 2 years ago. Same size, same exact size. 26 tackles, 5 for loss, 1.5 sacks. Again, is he a rotation piece? Whatever you're going to do. And then you've got other players that are coming back from last year. And then the true tweener, yes, Lamar Brown. Achilles Wood is built more like a defensive tackle. He's 289 pounds. He played a lot of South Alabama last year, 137 snaps at D tackle, 38 at defensive end. They're listing him as an end. I think, again, probably a hybrid. So this is 10 guys on the outside here. This is an awful lot of depth and some big time star power.
I mean, you're talking about, we go Gabe and Prince to start it off. You got a 5-star that was highly touted, backing him up. Jaylen Brown, highly touted. These guys that coaches have seen them before, worked with them before, recruited them before, and they still want to go after them, which means they got a lot of faith in them. Like Dylan Carpenter, he's a local kid. What did he play at Santa Mar or down there in Gonzales area? He played well at the end of the year last year, so I feel really good about this room.
You imagine your second group coming in, the first game of the season is Ross and Brown.
That's old school Alabama.
That's 2 5-star guys. You're just bringing waves and waves.
Before the transfer portal, that's what
talent.
Nick Saban
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the linebackers. And LSU brought, obviously getting Whit Weeks back was a huge deal. Devon Keys was a big-time tackle producer last year, top 5 in the league in tackles. Tyler Singleton played a lot. We saw a little bit of Zach Weeks. Charles Ross was as big a recruit as they had the year that they came out. And Keelan Moses was also extremely highly recruited. If they had not added anything, I'd have felt okay.
I was about
that.
To go off to that point, what you just said. What this speaks
you take
to me,
the top 7 before you get to Daughtery, who we're going to talk about. If they'd have just come back with that, I'd have been like, they're okay.
What this speaks to me is, this is the biggest returning room we've showed so far. They love Blake Baker. And Blake Baker knows those guys. These guys respect him. They want to play for him. He's a guy that is in their ear. When you got this much depth and what you're talking about with Charles Ross, highly recruited, Zach Weeks, highly recruited, Deshaun Keys played a lot. Whit Weeks could have gone pro, and they all came back to play for Blake. That says a lot to me as a former player.
Then you add a guy like T.J. Daughtery. Were you a Braves fan like Hester?
Yeah.
Okay. You remember in the early 90s they had Tom Glavine, they had John Smoltz, they had Steve Avery, and then all of a sudden they went and signed Greg Maddux, and it's like, wait a minute. You guys already had one of the best rotations, the base one of the best rotations. Then you went and signed a Cy Young guy. Well, that's kind of how I feel here. You got a really good room here, and then you go sign the SEC's tackle leader in T.J. Daugherty, 27 starts the last 2 years, and he led the SEC in tackles last year with 98.
Feel pretty good about it.
We saw the film on him. Grown man.
He's a man.
Okay. Daugherty and Keys this year, Weeks a year ago, were all right at the top of the tackles list in the Southeastern Conference. This, Theo Grace is the younger brother of your favorite player, Zach Grace, probably more of a developmental guy at this point. This is going to be a very tough group to crack, but again, you've got advanced numbers here, really, really superior numbers.
Keys was second in the SEC?
Second or third.
Second or third?
Yeah, right up there.
Daughtry's first. You bring in Weeks. Pretty solid linebacker.
This feels really, really good. We're brought to you by Bayou Apparel, helping local businesses communicate their message since 2009. One of a few local LSU official licensees. High-quality products showcasing your brand, established or new. They'll help you create eye-catching designs, fit your company's message, logos, event T-shirts, promotional items for your business. If you need anything LSU, go to everythinglsu.com. Bayou Apparel, made by locals and shipping from Baton Rouge, or you can call 929-9090, or again, everythinglsu.com. Bayou Apparel. Let's get into the secondary here. And corner is the one spot where they didn't add anybody in the transfer portal. The only position on the team. DJ Pickett and P.J. Woodland are your starters. We saw Jakeem Jackson play a little bit last year to transfer from Florida. Aiden Anding was a very, very highly recruited player. Kind of got caught up in a numbers game last year because, remember, you're subtracting Mansour Delane from this room. So I think you've got, four pretty good guys up at the top there, but Pickett and Woodland in particular, and then three high school players plus Michael Turner. So you've got 8 corners. I feel great about the top 2. After that, everybody I think's got a little something to prove.
Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, I've been on high on P.J. Woodland for 2 years. Love what I see from him. The
physicality is what you like.
The instinct, the play. Look, he's an undersized guy, and to play as physical as he does, I think he got picked on a little bit this year because you had Mansour Delane out there that was shut down. They weren't throwing at, so they went after him a little bit more. But I don't think there's a better 1-2 in the country than DJ Pickett and P.J. Woodland. I think those are both 2 guys that you're going to see drafted one day or another in the top 2 rounds, and you can't beat those guys. I mean,
and again, Pickett, like Trey'Dez Green and Braylon Moore and a few others on this tab, Caden Durham, his phone rang.
Yeah.
Okay, would you like to leave LSU?
P.J. Woodland, I guarantee you P.J. Woodland
too. Yes. So keeping those guys, don't just assume this. Oh yeah, that guy will come back.
It's all about the money.
You got to go recruit them at every turn. Let's flip the page and take a look at the safeties, because Rich, this is another place that if they had just stayed with what they had plus the recruiting class, I'd have said, okay, you're in decent shape. TaMarcus Cooley, I thought, was solid last year.
Spears played very well.
Deshaun Spears, I thought, was good. So if they just stayed with those 2, Jim Coyley and Thomas, and then the 3 freshmen, I said, okay, that's pretty good. They didn't stay there. Todd Benefield is one of my favorite players in this whole portal class. 6'2", 205. He started 33 straight games. He was first-team All-Mountain West. 235 I mean, this is big-time numbers at Boise State. 235 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, PBUs 16, 5 INTs. I was trying to think of who he reminds me of, and I don't know if there's a perfect comp anywhere. This is just a kid who excels in all facets of the game. And when we're talking about overall production from transfers into this class, I'll be surprised if he's not very, very close to the very top.
This year, to me, he's this year's A.J. Halsey. We went back and watched the film, the way he did it, and we were all excited about him coming in.
We loved how Halsey played. This kid's 4 inches taller.
and the best film, like the most exciting film out of all the recruits or transfers we brought in, he's the guy that you watched the film and you got excited about.
And then Fahim Delane, Mansour Delane was a first-team All-American, consensus All-American. Now his younger brother, who played in every game for Ohio State last year. That's another pretty tough lineup to crack. Gives you some depth back there. And then Dossett is a player from Baylor who's transferring back from the offensive side of the ball. And Traylon James from Southern, who played an awful lot for the Jags and also for Prairie View, provides some depth there. So you got a loaded safety room. Again, kind of like the linebackers. If they just stuck with that, I thought, okay, not bad. Now you look at this, and it's like, wow. One more page to go, and that's the specialist. Now LSU is losing their kicker and their kickoff man. So we'll take a look at the kickers. The punter, Grant Chadwick. I expect that he will hold on to this job. Hayden Craig. Joe Houston, senior special teams analyst at Florida the last 2 years. This kid was at Florida, number one player in Maine. Valandra was here. She, say that's her favorite stat. Actually, from over the border in Canada when he played a little bit in.
This goes back to
from Canada, went across into Maine to play. We'll see. Chadwick, I thought, was fine.
He was fine
last year.
This goes back to what we've said all along: is we've brought a coach in and he brought a player with him. You don't bring guys that you don't like.
And Craig brought, in addition to Houston, brought in addition to Craig, a deep snapper. If we keep going here, the kicker is Starzik from Arkansas. He was freshman All-SEC on the coaches, 14 out of 18. Didn't miss an extra point. Didn't miss a kick inside 40 yards. And he's got a little bit of range, too. He made 2 out of 3 from outside of 50, including a 53-yarder. So, I mean, I don't know how much more you could ask for than that. He played in the SEC.
47 PATs, and you go 2 from 3 outside of 50, I'm good.
There's a little bit of range there, and from inside of 40, he was perfect.
Yeah.
So Mulhern is the other player from Florida that Houston brought along with him, the deep snapper, and Silas Hall, who probably goes into spring as your number one long snapper. That's a lot, my friend.
Plenty of people.
That's a lot. I think we were sitting. I think we showed you 97 names on here. I didn't go back and count them up, but you're going to be pushing that limit. So again, you got all the ingredients. It's time to
when spring start.
First, they hadn't even announced the date yet. First, you make a roux. It's time for Lane Kiffin to mold all of this and make them a team.
Yeah,
you've got all of the individuals that you want. I'm guessing that in the spring, everybody gets a piece of tape across the front of their helmet and a black Sharpie to write the names in, so everybody can.
Yeah.
I'm only a little bit exaggerating with that. So these kids got to get to know each other. They got to get to know the coaches, but it's going to be fun to watch.
I'm excited. Like, I'm serious. Win spring. I'm ready to watch it. Like, you bring in 60 guys, the caliber guys we're bringing in, the history. Lane Kiffin makes everything more exciting.
Now, I had somebody tell me, you did this a year ago. You two did this a year ago, and you got me all hyped up about the roster. And we did. We did something, the same roster breakdown, and we were excited about it. And some things went wrong. I'm not telling you that this guarantees them anything, okay? They've still got to put everything together. But I feel very good about this coaching staff and their ability to teach and their ability to blend this remarkable amount of talent together and have it ready to go. Just today, they put a look-ahead line on LSU Clemson for the opening game of next season. You want to take a guess at what it is? We're sitting here at the end of January.
-11.
Very good, 10.5.
Okay.
So the odds makers also think that LSU is going to be really, really good. We can't wait to get it started. Rich, thanks for your help all season long. Post-game show, the Friday show, the podcast, everything. We're going to make our transition to baseball next week. Our first of 2 baseball previews before the season gets started for the defending national champions. Dan Canterbury will be in with us, and we'll have a lot of guests throughout the season on the podcast for baseball. But thank you.
It's a big series. I love baseball, too. I'll come hang out for a minute.
For Richard Dickson, I'm Charles Hanagriff. This has been the Hannycast.